Now that's neat enough as it is. We can access the values for a lot of these properties, but we can also use ActionScript to set the values of these properties as well. Let's give that a little bit of a try. I'm going to close my output window in my Swift file because I want to take a little bit of a look at the screen here. Now, if I've got that green square selected, we can see its X and Y values, we can see its width and height, so you might guess that we might have access to those properties as well. In fact, we have access to a lot of movie clip properties. Now I'm just going to pull some out right now for this lesson, but we're going to be exploring what the properties are and where to find them in a later lesson. For right now, I'd like to just move around some of these elements on the screen. Let's take the other graphic pieces that we've got here on the stage and make sure we have access to them in ActionScript. Now once again, if we click on something, like for instance this photo of the mountains here in the background, you can see it shows up as a bitmap graphic and there's no name. If I were to take this and make it into a movie clip, we'd have access to it as well. So let's do that. I'll press F8. We'll call it something simple like photo. I'll leave it as a movie clip. Now this one I'm going to set the registration in the upper left-hand corner. That's going to be the top corner of the photograph there. And now that I've made it into a movie clip, I'm just going to give it a name as well. I'll call it MC Photo. And we've got one other shape over here. I've got a cloud with a little bitmap fill inside of it, but you can see it is showing up as a straight vector shape. Let's press F8 with that selected as well. We'll just call it cloud. I'll leave the registration and the movie clip settings where they are. And I'll call this one MC Cloud, short for movie clip cloud. Now let's try our first element where we can move something around on the screen. What I'd like to do is I'd like to take ActionScript and make this photo a little bit bigger and kind of center it in the upper portion of the screen here. I'll bring my Actions panel back up. I'll go down to the bottom of my script there, and I'll just hit Enter and create a new line. Now instead of tracing these elements, I will call off the name, the property, and I'll use what we did before in setting the variable. I'll just set it equal to some other value. In this case, I want the photo. So I'm going to take MC Photo. I'll use a dot to separate the name and the value. And in this case, I'm going to take underscore X, which is its X location on the screen. That's going to be our horizontal coordinate system. And let me just set that equal to 60. Now, if we take a look at this before we test our application, I'll point out that the current location of this one is actually almost 60. So we won't see much movement. Let's change the Y value as well. I'll move it up a little bit here in the top corner. So I'll just add one more statement to this. To access each one of the properties, I'm going to do them independently of one another. So I'll just put another statement down here below. MC Photo. We'll do the underscore Y this time. And we'll set that equal to something very close to the top of the screen, 15. Now I'll hit Control-Enter, and that'd be Command-Enter on the Mac, and let's try that out. Now I can see all the traces in my output window as before, but you'll notice that the photo has been pushed up to the left-hand side of the screen, and what we'd find is that registration point right there at the top is set to exactly 60 pixels from the left, that's my X coordinate, and 15 pixels from the top, that's my Y coordinate. Now that was pretty neat, but let's try a few more elements so we can start gathering up some of these pieces on the stage. I'm going to close both of those windows, and let's add just a few more settings here. First of all, for the photo, I'd like to make it a lot bigger. So let's access two new property values that we haven't used yet. I'll use MC Photo, and I'll access the underscore width. Now you can see that that turned blue as I typed it, so it's recognizing it as a real property. I'll set the width equal to 400 pixels, and I'll just add another line below it, MC Photo. And of course, you might have guessed it, we're going to go after the height this time. We'll set that equal to 300 pixels. Now you can see a good use for a comment statement if you wanted to leave a note for yourself. I can go right up here above where I change all of these property settings on MC Photo. I'll add a line to my code. We'll use / to make this a comment. And let's type in a comment here that's going to title what we're doing in this section of our code. We're going to set up the mountain photo. Now let's test this out. I'm going to hit Control-Enter, and now you can see that not only is my photo placed up in the right place on the screen, but it's also stretched out and it's much bigger than it was before.